Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 23rd of September. Well, we saw it the other day when the magenta rose above the white MBI line, and we knew that there would likely be some pushes back to the higher side. And the 50% was the logical location, which is exactly what we saw a continuation of here. A little bit of dip in the early morning, but then pretty much rose throughout the day. FOMC notes coming out, and pretty much as expected, the Fed isn't going to do anything new as far as taper goes. From a NASDAQ standpoint, you can also see the same turnaround. Before, the NASDAQ was weaker and actually pushed even higher than the 50% on that strength of the magenta on the MBI here rising above. And also you can see short-term buyers in the steel on the DOC right here rising above. Still orange caught in between, so we'll be looking to see if that pivots higher. That might mean that we're likely to hit sideways for a while instead of just straight back up like we have seen for, well, the past year plus, where the market's been exuberant with buy every dip. From a gold standpoint, again, it's going to continue to float higher, and that's why we watch oil in that, because the inflationary pressures are still there. Of course, with the U.S. being the only place to get yield, with the Eurozone reporting even weaker and weaker numbers, getting hard for the Fed to push the euro up, because the investment draw to the U.S. is still strong now, particularly with China probably even going to be more pressure on the dollar to rise, because investment is going to be moving that way. You can see oil making that big pop, and again, that's what's going to put pressure on the U.S. economy and a lot of other transitory inflation. The reality is inflation is here to stay. That gave juice to Bitcoin. You can see the buy came down here just off the 41,000, and now it's up to what, 40, almost 44 again after the big decline, which we captured beautifully as well. So all in all, spot on with what our expectation was. Here's the 5K early morning. You can see the rise that took place. Of course, the programs bought that early, and even on the slight dip, we turned around and pretty much just kept powering higher. You can see the cyan there, which was on the DOC down here where red goes below. The cyan goes below the red, and expectation for move higher, as it's always a buy at that particular point. Interesting side note to look for when you get the trail off after you see our red dots, which are the spikes of white MBI over the 33 level. We start to look for the first indication of a sell, which starts to take place here when that magenta is below yellow and it dips below that cyan line of 33, and we look for that white pop-up. One element to look for that you can start paying closer attention to is when white moves above orange. You're looking at a pretty strong high percentage, well in the 70% range, of at least a 7-point move lower from that signaling. So that's something worth noting. I'll put a dot schedule above it so that you'll be able to see it in the upcoming ones, and I will be setting out the little dot program here so that you'll have that as well, just as a nice adjunct to just let you know when we're focused on those elements as they pop up, which you can see right here popped up. Nice spike of the white coming off of the previous one, which was where we had an immediate turnaround of magenta, never even dipped below yellow at that stage, and that led to that nice peak right before the close. But then just as soon as that sell configuration came, boom, we started lower, and then even right there we started with that orange cross, and that was up at the 87 level, and we dropped down to 81, so that's 6 points on the money right with that move, just with that taking place. So keep an eye on that one. Overall, pretty consistent right now. We're looking at MBI white above magenta at this particular stage, so as soon as that magenta tips lower, we'll probably see a little bit of a move back. But you can see previously we had the 44.13. Price didn't even make it up to that point. The 43.82 right here was a previous algo level, and that became pretty much a stasis point for price to kind of just hover around. there are some additional positive extremes, and I think that 4350 definitely in selling becomes a prominent target. So keep those on your charts. Be all set. Had a power outage all day. Finally got back up and running. So I'll post charts as conditions warrant. Trade well. We'll talk again later.